The most dangerous prison is not built with walls. It is built inside the moment you let one insult, one rejection, one cold message, or one careless opinion take control of your mind before you even realize you have surrendered. There is a quiet danger inside your life, and it does not look like danger. It looks like one rude comment that ruins your morning, one cold message that makes your chest tighten, one unexpected change that turns your mind into a battlefield, one moment of disrespect that suddenly pulls anger out of you, like someone else has found the hidden switch to your nervous system. And that is what disturbed me when I first started paying closer attention to Stoic wisdom. Not that people hurt us, but that we often hand them the weapon, open the gate, and then wonder why our center is bleeding. Welcome to Stoic Chisel. I want you to think about this with me, not as a theory, but as something brutally personal. How many times has your entire day been controlled by someone who did not even think about you for more than 5 seconds? How many times has one tone, one look, one delayed reply, or one careless sentence taken ownership of your internal state? That is the invisible trap. Most people believe they are free because nobody is physically holding them down. But emotionally, they are being pulled by strings they cannot see. The media pulls one string. The algorithm pulls another. Toxic people pull another. Old wounds, fear, ego, and overthinking pull the rest. And before wisdom has time to speak, the body reacts. The jaw tightens. The heart accelerates. The mind begins writing stories. You are no longer responding to reality. You are responding to the storm inside you. But here is the mystery that Stoicism forces us to face. What if the strongest person in the room is not the loudest one? What if real power is not destroying your emotions, but refusing to let them drive your life? If this kind of Stoic self-mastery speaks to you, subscribe to support Stoic Chisel, so this channel can keep creating deeper videos for people who are ready to stop living on emotional autopilot. Because today, we are not learning how to become cold. We are learning how to become unshakable. And if the first truth is that your emotions can be hijacked, the second truth is even more uncomfortable. The world has learned how to profit from that weakness. The modern world does not reward your calm. It rewards your reaction. Every outrage headline wants a piece of your attention. Every algorithm studies what makes you click faster, argue longer, scroll deeper, and lose yourself more easily. Every toxic person in your life knows, consciously or not, that if they can disturb your emotions, they can drag you into their storm. And this is where Stoicism becomes more than an ancient philosophy. It becomes a form of inner defense. The kind no one can see, but everyone can feel when they stand near a person who no longer gives away his mental ground cheaply. The more I sit with Stoic wisdom, the more I realize that most people are exhausted because they are trying to control the wrong kingdom. They try to control what others think. They try to control who stays loyal. They try to control whether life is fair. They try to control the timing of success, the tone of other people, the outcome of every plan, and the opinion of every room they walk into. But the Stoics asked a harder question. If I cannot command the outside world, can I at least govern the world inside myself? That question sounds simple. But if you truly let it enter you, it changes everything. Because emotional freedom begins the moment you stop demanding that reality obey your preferences before you allow yourself to be steady. This does not mean you become passive. It does not mean you let people disrespect you. It does not mean you swallow pain and pretend to be above it. That is not strength. That is just suppression wearing a mask. Stoic control is different. It says, I can feel this, but I do not have to become this. I can feel anger without letting anger choose my words. I can feel fear without letting fear design my future. I can feel disappointment without turning it into proof that my life is falling apart. That is the shift. Not from emotion to emptiness, but from emotional slavery to emotional command. And I believe this is why Stoic wisdom still feels so alive today. Because we live in a time where almost everything is trying to enter the mind without permission. News, noise, comparison, drama, rejection, pressure. But the person who learns to pause, examine, and respond from principle becomes difficult to manipulate. Life may still strike him. People may still test him. Uncertainty may still surround him. But something inside him has changed. He no longer treats his inner calm like public property. He begins building an inner citadel, brick by brick, choice by choice, until the chaos outside no longer gets automatic access to the throne within. Once you understand that your center is no longer public property, the next question becomes painfully practical. How do you protect it in the exact moment life tries to enter without permission? This is where emotional control stops being philosophy and becomes training. The first brick is the pause. Not a dramatic silence. Not a weak hesitation. A deliberate interruption between the thing that happens and the person you choose to become after it happens. When someone insults you, your body wants speed. Your ego wants a comeback. Your pride wants to prove it cannot be touched. But I have learned that the fastest reaction is often the least free reaction. It is usually old fear speaking. Old insecurity defending itself. Old anger trying to wear your face. So before you answer, breathe. Let the first wave rise. Let it burn. Let it lose its authority. In that small gap, you are not doing nothing. You are reclaiming command. You are telling the world, you may trigger a feeling in me, but you do not get to choose my conduct. That is the sacred pause. The second brick is separating your ego from the event. This one is harder because the ego is a masterful liar. Turns rejection into identity. It turns criticism into humiliation. It turns someone else's bad mood into proof that you have lost value. But an event is not always a verdict. A rude person may simply be undisciplined. A failed attempt may simply be feedback. A closed door may simply be direction. The Stoic mind learns to look at life with cleaner eyes. Instead of saying, "This ruined me," it says, "Something difficult happened, and now I must meet it with clarity." Instead of saying, "They disrespected me, so I must explode," it says, "They revealed their character, and now I must protect mine." That difference may seem small, but it changes the entire emotional battlefield. The third brick is protecting yourself from emotional contagion. I do not believe we talk about this enough. Some people do not attack your calm directly. They leak chaos into the room. They complain until your own mind becomes heavier. They gossip until suspicion feels normal. They panic until your nervous system forgets what steady feels like. And if you are not careful, you start carrying emotions that were never yours. So pay attention. Notice who leaves you steady. Notice who leaves you drained. You do not have to hate anyone. You do not have to become cruel. But you must become honest about what you are allowing into your inner world. Change the subject. Step away with respect. Limit access when access becomes damage. Because your attention is not a dumping ground. Your mind is not an unlocked house. And your private kingdom deserves a gate. But once the gate is guarded, the deeper work begins, learning what to do with the storms that still rise inside it. The first storm is expectation. I used to think frustration came from life being unfair. But the more I study Stoic wisdom, the more I see that frustration often comes from a quieter place. It comes from the invisible script we carry in our minds. People should understand me. Plans should go smoothly. Hard work should be rewarded quickly. Loyalty should be permanent. Traffic should move. Messages should be answered. Life should respect the way I imagined it. Then reality arrives with its own handwriting, and we feel personally betrayed. But reality was never under contract to obey our preferences. That is a brutal truth, but it is also freeing. The Stoic does not wake up expecting everything to go wrong. He wakes up remembering that things can go wrong, and he does not need to collapse when they do. Before the day begins, he quietly prepares his mind. Someone may be rude today. A plan may change. A result may disappoint me. A person may not respond the way I hoped. But none of this has permission to steal my character. That is not pessimism. That is emotional preparation. It removes the shock before the shock arrives. The second storm is pain. Anger, sadness, rejection, frustration, grief. Most people either explode from these emotions or run from them. They scroll. They distract themselves. They pretend they are fine. They bury the fire until it burns them from the inside. But I do not believe Stoicism asks us to become numb. I believe it asks us to become responsible for the direction of our fire. Anger can become destruction if you throw it blindly at people. But that same anger can become discipline when you take it to the gym, into your work, into a hard conversation, or into the quiet decision to raise your standard. Sadness can become a prison if you keep feeding the same story. But it can also become honesty. It can make you right. It can make you pray. It can make you finally admit what needs to change. Rejection can turn into bitterness. Or it can become the moment you stop begging for doors that were never meant to hold your future. Pain is not always the enemy. Pain without direction is the enemy. The third storm is the imaginary future. This one is dangerous because it feels so real. Your mind creates a conversation that has not happened, a loss that has not arrived, a humiliation that has not touched you, a failure that still exists only as a shadow. And your body believes the movie. Your chest tightens. Your stomach drops. Your thoughts accelerate. You start fighting ghosts with real energy. This is why anxiety drains the soul. It makes you pay today for tragedies that may never exist tomorrow. When that spiral begins, I have learned to ask one question. What is actually happening right now? Not in my fear. Not in my prediction. Not in the nightmare my mind is producing. Right now. Am I breathing? Am I safe in this moment? Is there one calm action I can take? That question pulls the mind back from the battlefield of imagination. The fourth storm is the hunger for approval. This may be the most subtle one. Because praise feels good. Recognition feels good. Being noticed feels good. But if applause becomes your oxygen, silence will feel like suffocation. If compliments define you, criticism will dismantle you. So the Stoic slowly changes the measurement. Did I act with integrity? Did I keep my discipline? Did I speak truthfully? Did I treat people with respect without abandoning myself? Did I do what was mine to do? If the answer is yes, then even without applause, the day was not wasted. That is internal validation. Not arrogance. Not pretending feedback does not matter. Just the quiet decision to stop letting the crowd hold the scale of your worth. Because when your value comes from character, the world can still speak. But it can no longer own you. And once your value no longer belongs to the crowd, the final practice is learning to sit quietly with the self you have been trying to outrun. I have noticed that modern life gives us endless ways to escape ourselves. The second silence appears, we reach for noise. The moment loneliness rises, we open a screen. The moment an old fear speaks, we drown it with distraction. But the Stoic path asks for something harder. Sit still. 10 minutes. No phone. No music. No performance. Just your breath, your thoughts, and the parts of yourself you usually avoid. At first, the mind may feel like a locked room full of old voices. Regret may speak. Fear may move. Resentment may return. But stay there. Do not fight every thought. Do not obey every thought. Watch them pass, and you will discover something powerful. You can experience your inner weather without being destroyed by it. Then, when life irritates you again, zoom out. Ask yourself, will this matter in 1 year? Will this matter in 10? Will I carry this to my final breath? Most anger collapses under that perspective. Most drama loses its crown. And what remains is what truly deserves you. Your character, your purpose, your discipline, your family, your work, your health, and the person you are becoming. And when I look back at everything we have walked through together, the lesson becomes painfully clear. The world may touch your circumstances, but it does not have to own your internal state. People can speak carelessly. Plans can collapse without warning. Rejection can arrive. Criticism can sting. Anxiety can whisper terrifying stories about a future that has not even happened yet. But none of these things automatically deserve the throne inside your mind. That throne must be guarded. This is what Stoic wisdom keeps teaching me the more I return to it. Emotional control is not about becoming heartless. It is not about pretending pain does not hurt. It is not about letting people disrespect you while you silently disappear inside yourself. Real emotional control is the ability to feel the fire without burning down your own house. It is the ability to pause when your instincts want speed. To observe reality without poisoning it with ego. To protect your mental ground from other people's chaos. To accept that life will not always follow your expectations. To turn pain into direction. To return from imaginary fears back into the present moment. To measure your worth by your character, not by the unstable applause of the crowd. And to sit still long enough to understand the mind you are trying to master. The deeper lesson is this: your emotions are not your enemy. Your unconscious reaction to them is the real danger. So apply this today in one simple way. Before you respond to anything that triggers you, take one breath and ask, what kind of person do I want to be after this moment? That one question can save your words. It can save your self-respect. It can save your relationships. It can save you from becoming the very chaos you were trying to defeat. So leave this vow in your mind. I command my mind. I protect my center. I choose character over reaction. Now I want to ask you something simple. Which Stoic habit do you need most right now? The pause, boundaries, stillness, or internal validation? Please comment your answer below, so we can all learn from each other's perspective. And if this message gave you value, subscribe to Stoic Chisel to support the channel and help us keep creating